Hey, my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards coming at you live with another Commander deck profile. This is Elrond, Master of Healing. 2 green and a blue for a 4/4 legendary creature, Elf Noble. Whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to X creatures, or target creatures where X is the number of cards looked at while you scry this way. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. This deters your opponents from wanting to target your creatures because you're going to draw a card, so you always go up 1 on them. So if they 1 for 1, you're going up. They're 1 for 2-ing you, I guess. And so that the way his first ability works is simple. If you scry scry 5, then you can put a 1 counter on up to 5 creatures. If you scry 1, you can put a 1 counter on up to 1 creature. So, Nissa, Steward of Elementals is great. It's got a +2 for scry 2. That's the reason it's here. Its other one allows you to look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card or a creature card with converted mana cost less than the number of loyalty counters on it, you can put it on the back, which can be good. You can get there sometime. And since you're scrying, you can usually get that. And its next 6 allows to untap up to 2 target lands you control, and they become 5 elemental creatures with flying and haste till end of turn. They're still lands. Not super useful unless you think you can take someone out really quickly. Jace Mirror Mage is so good. I think it's such an underrated card. 3 for a 4 loyalty Jace with Kicker 2. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's not legendary, and its loyalty is 1. +1 scry 2. So this is great. The scry 2 means you can just put 2 1/1 counters on creatures. A 1/1 counter on 2 creatures. But it's 0. Draw a card and reveal it. Remove a number of loyalty counters on him equal to the card's converted mana cost from Jace Mirror Mage. What you do is you scry until you have lands on top with Jace Mirror Mage, and then that way you can totally just draw into a land. And do that with both. So you can scry with him, and then with the 1 drop, because he's at 4, so that's good. So scry with the 1 drop to get it up higher so it doesn't die as easily. And then 0 this Jace so you can just add the land that you scry to. Kesmina, Enigma Sage. Each planeswalker you control has the loyal ability as him. And she's got a scry 1 for 2. But it also allows these guys to have scry 1s, but they both have scry 2s. But its scry 1 is a +2, that's useful. Its neg X, you create a 0/0 blue or green and blue fracture creature token, put extra counters on it. So if Nissa gets really big eventually, you can just neg X it. And then it's neg 8, you search your library for an instant sorcery card that shares a color with this planeswalker. Exile that card, shuffle, you may cast the card without paying its mana cost. There's some good ones you can choose. But they're all just here for scrying, which buffs your creatures. 23 creatures, because buffing. Flying is the theme here. You really want to be able to hit people. Artificer's Assistance, when you cast a historic spell, you scry 1. Not bad, good scry, has flying. This one flies and scries 2. This one scries 2 and each opponent mills 2. This one, when it's the battlefield, you scry 1. Cool. For the most part, it just comes in as a 2/2 then. Arwen, Undamiel, whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And then you can pay, so that allows you to put a lot more 1/1 counters on stuff. And then you can just scry 2 for 6. Good mana dump. Mana sink. Augur Owl has flying and then scries 3. So again, that's 1/1 counter on 3 creatures. Benevolent Hydra, when it enters the battlefield with extra 1/1 counters, but if 1 more 1/1 counters be put on a creature, you control that many plus 1/1 counters. So with this card's ability, if you have Benevolent in your commander and Augur Owl comes out, you scry 3, you put 2 1/1 counters on 3 creatures. Because Benevolent Hydra. Kenosis, Priest of Thassa. If you would scry a number of cards, scry that many cards +1 instead. This is good because if you were going to scry 3, you scry 4, so that's a 1/1 counter on 4 creatures. And then for 3, and then a blue or green, look at the top card of your library. If it's a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent creature card, you may put it on the battlefield. If you don't put that card on the battlefield, you may put it in the bottom of your library. Such a good Kraken commander, to be fair. But also, it's just really good for scrying, and that's why it's here. I don't know if I'm running any Kraken, Leviathans, or Octopuses, to be fair. Lithurian Lockout attacks and you scry 1, so that's just, you can just put the 1/1 counter on him then, make it bigger. Omen Speaker enters and scries 2. Sage's Row Servant enters and scries 2. And by the way, you can put them on him. Put a 1/1 counter on each of X target creatures. You can choose him as the 1/1 counters. Sigil Starfish allows you to just tap and scry, so that's good. Remind that Scry itself is also just a good ability. It gives you good card selection. Oh, I don't need lands, put them on the bottom. Oh, that's a good card, keep it up top. And allowing you to turn those Scries into 1/1 counters is just good. Thassa's Thrasios Triton Hero has Scry on it, which is great. And gives you card advantage and land advantage and stuff, which is good. Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, when it or another creature enters the battlefield, you control, you Scry 1 if this is the second time this resolve. The ring tempts you. Getting the ring tempted up is good. This is what the ring does. I'll pause for a second for people to read. But the concept mainly is just, it makes all your creatures enter in Scry, which is going to help your other Elrond. Gladriel of Lothlorien is great because when the ring tempts you, you can choose a creature if you choose a creature other than that, you Scry 3. And whenever you Scry, you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card revealed this way, put it on the bottom of your put it on the battlefield tapped. This is great. That first ability, okay, maybe if you have this Elrond, you can get the ring to tempt you. Ignoring that, the other part, Scrying, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, so you can just Scry, make sure there's a land on top, and start ramping, which is so good. Geist of Archives at the beginning of your upkeep, you Scry 1, which just allows. You don't want to put it on Geist normally. Maybe 1 on it, just so you can draw a card if someone tries to target, but just slowly buff your commander or someone else. Glorfindel Dauntless Rescuer, when you Scry, you can choose 1, and it gets a 1/1 counter on it. So make it so that it must be blocked, or make it so that it can't be blocked. And making it so that it can't be blocked, except by 1 or more creatures this turn, can sometimes, by more than 1 creature, makes it so that you do kill something usually. Kami of Whispered Hopes, it taps for extra its powers, putting 1 counters on it works. It also gives you an additional 1 counters on stuff, which is good. Moonfolk Puzzle Maker enters the battlefield tapped, or when it becomes tapped, you Scry 1. So if you attack with it, you get to Scry 1, and you can make it bigger. Pier doubles the 1/1 counters. Thassa's God of Sea allows you to Scry at each upkeep and makes a creature unblockable, which is really strong. Toothy, because you can run Pier and Toothy in this deck. When you draw a card, you get to 1/1 counter, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you draw a card for each 1/1 counter on it. And since Toothy grabs Pier or Pier grabs Toothy, you're doubling those 1/1 counters a lot of times. You're going to draw a lot of cards. If not, just kill someone with it. And Vorinclex Monstrous Rider doubles the 1/1 counters and halves the counters that an opponent would put on. They put half that many counters on the permanent or player instead rounded down. I think it's 0 if it's a half. Then we got stuff like Elven Farsight, which just Scries 3, and then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature you guard, you can draw it. Mystic Speculation, which buy back 2, Scry 3. With your commander, you can literally just pay 3 constantly with this and just start Scrying 3, putting 1/1 counters on your stuff. Preordained's good card selection, same with Sarah Vision, and it both have Scry, so that's useful. Farseek, Nature's Claim, or Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, or all ramp spells. Scour All Possibilities allows you to Scry 2 and then draw a card, and you can flashback it. Track Down allows you to Scry 3 and then reveal the top. If it's a creature or land, put a draw card. And then Reason and Believe. Reason Scries 3 and Believe, which is Aftermath, so you can cast from your graveyard. Look at the top card of your library. You may put it on the battlefield if it's a creature card. If you don't, put it into your hand. So for 5, you make sure you put creatures on the field, something like Vorinclex or Toothy, and you just put it on the field. Next, your instances, Fading Hope, return creature card to its owner's hand. If it's -3 or less, you Scry card, which is good. Good card, good interaction, and Scry. And this is Scry and draw 1, so there's Scry. Counter spells here, because it's counter spells, same with Beast Within. Deliberate allows you to Scry 2, then draw a card. Heroic Intervention is card protection. Enjoyed Exploration, if it's kick, you can kick it for a green, and when you Scry 2, then draw a card. If this spell was kicked, you may put a land card from the end of the battlefield, so it becomes ramp for 3. Artifact-wise, you got ramp with Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Foulware Stone, but then you have stuff like Witching Tower, which Scries 2 when it enters the battlefield, and then for 4, you can draw 2 by sacrificing it. Swiftfoot Boots gives you Hexproof on a creature you control and haste, which is good. Plus, you want to be able to target them still with your commander's effect, so you don't want to give it Shroud. Ozolith, the Shadowed Spire, doubles the 1/1 counters again, or an additional 1/1 counter. And then you can also tap to put a 1/1 counter on something, which is good. And it has cycling. I just don't think I'd ever cycle it. Crystal Ball just allows you to pay 1 to scry to whenever you want. Lifecrafter's Bestiary is good for card advantage, because you can pay a green whenever you cast a creature spell to draw a card, but you also scry 1 at your upkeep, which is good. Seer's Lantern is ramp, but also pay 2 to scry 1. And Temporal Anchor is a really interesting card, because when at the beginning of your upkeep you scry 2, and then whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards in the bottom of your library like scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Temporal Arch. So if you bottom like 2 cards, you exile those 2 cards and you can cast them, which is good. And then you got some enchantments here. Aqueous Form makes the creature unblockable, and you can scry 1 when it attacks, allowing you to hit them harder. Hardened Scale is double the 1/1 counters. In Search of Greatness scries you at the beginning of your upkeep. You may put a permanent onto the battlefield, which is 1 plus with converted mana cost 1 plus the highest. So if you have a 5 drop, you can put a 6 drop. If the highest is 4, you can put 5. And if you don't, you scry 1, which doesn't matter. Like, the scry 1 is good. Lost Isle Calling. Whenever you scry, you put a first counter on it, and you can pay 6 exile Lost Isle card, draw a card for each first counter on it, and if it had 7 reverse counters on it, take an extra turn after this one, activate only as a sorcery. Since you're scrying so many, you're gonna get that so easily. Seasons of Growth, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you scry 1, and whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature, you can draw a card. You're not costing too many spells that target stuff, if any, but just the scrying off of ETBs is good in this deck. Sylvan Anthem, green creature gets +1/+1, but when a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, you scry 1, that's just going to be more 1/1 counters. Branching Evolution is a twice the 1/1 counter, so if you would put 2 1/1 counters, you put 4. Eyes Everywhere, at the beginning of your upkeep, you scry 1, that's just super useful. And then for 6, you can exchange control of Eyes Everywhere and target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. This is fine, because you can just pay 6 to grab a good permanent your opponents have to win the game. Mystic Redaction, at the beginning of upkeep, you scry 1, and then whenever you discard a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. I don't really care about that effect. It's just the scry 1 at your upkeep, so you can put a 1/1 counter on something. Return to Coral Helm. You can untap stuff when the land falls, but you're just going to scry usually. And Double Seasoning doubles the 1/1 counters. And you have 35 lands. I'm running the scry lands, like the Temple. It works in this deck, and Rivendell allows you to scry 2 if you have a Legendary for 2. And Castle of Id's lets you scry 2 if you have 4, or for 4, which is useful. This deck is just heavily scry, which gives you good card selection, and then just swing in with your big flyers. That's the concept of the deck. It's really fun. I hope everyone has a good night. As always, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to. Peace.